Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We were discussing this verse yesterday. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَى قَوْمِهِ فَقَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ. But Allah Ta'ala says we sent Nuh alayhi salam. Now how does this fit? How does this the sending of Nuh alayhi salam fit into the whole discussion? Remember from the beginning, we speaking, Allah Ta'ala says from the beginning, we sent you, you were residing in Jannat, and then we sent you into this dunya. That was part of the master plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we sent you into this dunya to and then Allah Ta'ala spoke about those people then who interpolated the religion, and then Allah spoke about Jannat and Jahannam, all related. Then I told you that the reason why the first prophet we discussed this, Allah Ta'ala speaks about is Nuh alayhi salam, is because when Adam alayhi salam came, there was no kufr as yet because everything was started afresh. So, he was obviously Abul Ins, right, the father of mankind, and his children obviously brought him up on deen, on tawheed, etc. But slowly, with the passage of time, they turned away. Shaitan came. Shaitan was able to influence him, and then shirk, etc. came in. So Nuh alayhi salam was the first prophet that came afterwards that's supposed to bring a reformation. Hence Allah Ta'ala says, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نوحا إلى قومه فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. Believe we sent Nuh alayhi salam to his people, and he said, Ya qawmi abudullah, oh my people, worship Allah Ta'ala. There's no ma lakum min ilahin ghayru. There's no God for you besides him. So interesting. You are, so to say, there's some interesting facts here, inshallah, you'll enjoy. So through the chain, so he's saying the mentioning starts with him because this is where the first rot set in. This is where the first rot set in, right? So though in the chain of prophets, the first prophet is Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. That's also an important thing. Remember, Sayyidina Adam was a prophet, right? Don't go to Masjid al-Awati and say he's not a prophet, right? But his was not the time for confrontation against disbelief in error. In the religious code given to him, most of the injunctions were related to the habitation of the land and management of human needs. Yeah, so this is interesting. Allah says in the Quran, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Remember, Adam alayhi salam was residing in Jannat. Everything was found for him. Water, shelter, food. So now he came to the dunya. He was not accustomed. There was inclement weather, hot, cold. He had to find his own pure water. He needed to find shelter for his family. He needed to cook his food. So and obviously they were already on tawheed. You understand what I'm saying? Because they came from Jannat with tawheed. So a lot of his energies went more into learning how to live in this dunya, right, and providing for his family because they were on tawheed already, right? So disbelief and disbelievers did not exist. The confrontation against kufr, disbelief, and shirk associating partners in the divinity of Allah Ta'ala began with Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam. So this is where the Raf set in. He is, in terms of the mission of Prophet and a code of religious law, the first Rasul of Allah. So like we say, he's the first Rasul. Rasul you'll do this also a lot of different explanations. A Rasul is a person who comes with a new religion, etc. Not a religion, but like a new book, a new set. We've done this also, all right? In addition to that, people who survived after the drowning of the whole world during the great flood or deluge was Sayyidina Nuh salam and those with him the ark. Right? It was through him that the new world was populated. So I told you there's two explanations here. One explanation is after Noah salam, or rather when the flood came, it destroyed the whole world. Nobody survived besides Noah and those who was on the ark. One explanation is no, it only destroyed his area. Other parts of the world were still populated. But nevertheless, this is why also Noah is called Al-Adam Athani, because he was like the second Adam that caused the world to be populated for a second time. It was through him that the new world was populated. Therefore, he's also referred to as the junior Adam. He's referred to as the reason why he appears first in the story of the prophets, which has a description of 950-year-long prophetic struggle, in contrast to the crooked ways of the majority of the community, as the result of which all except a few believers were drowned. So here he's saying, Nuh alayhi salam had a struggle of 950 years. He struggled and we battled with his people to bring them upon deen. So you as an imam, when you come to your community and the people are not listening to you, you are trying to bring about a change Do not become despondent and say, oh, these people, they are doomed for Jahannam, man. I can't change them. They're all going to Jahannam. These guys, maybe rather go over here. Nuh alayhi salam, he battled for 950 years with his people, right? So Allah Ta'ala speaks about this. And we mentioned yesterday also, this was also, like you say, a consolation for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that your people are rejecting you, they are mocking you, they are harming you, they are even physically assaulting you. They are even physically assaulting you. Taif, etc. They pelted Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam with stones to such an extent that the slave felt pity for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's an interesting incident. The slave's name was Adas. When, nowadays if you go to Saudi Arabia, you can travel to all these places. You can go to Taif and all these places. You can see the masjid and all that stuff. So when he was being expelled from Taif, they pelted him. They set all the 3 keys upon him, and so the slave Adas felt sorry for him, and he brought him some graves. And then the Nabi started speaking to him. I said, who are you? He said, I'm Adas. I'm from Nineveh. And then the Nabi said, Nineveh, you from Nineveh? My brother is from Nineveh. Who's my brother? We mentioned the hadith that the prophets are all brothers, in the sense that maybe not physical, biological brothers, but they've come with the same mission. He says, how do you know about this? Nobody here knows about Nineveh. That's also a miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How did he know about Nineveh? That Yunus ibn Matta came from Nineveh, and then he gets speaking to this person. So anyway, that was a consolation to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that do not become disheartened, do not give up. This is the way of these people. You have to persevere. So the first verse is, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ. Sayyidina Nuh is in the 8th generation. Interesting fact. Nuh alayhi salam was in the 8th generation of Adam alayhi salam. That means he was his 8th child, like how you say it in English, child. So eight progeny down, so to say. According to a narration of Sayyidina Abbas appearing in the Mustadrak of Hakim, there is an interval of 10 qaran between Adam alayhi salam and Sayyidina Nuh. Of this one riwayat in Mustadrak Hakim, also in Sahih Kitab, he said there was 10 generations between Adam alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam. Reported by Tabarani, that's based on a hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, narrated by Sayyidina Abu Dharr. A qaran generally refers to 100 years. Therefore, the interval of time between these two comes to be 1,000 years according to this narration. So according to this narration, if we say that there's a qaran, 10 qaran, 10 qurun, and a qaran is like one generation, maybe it means Nuh alayhi salam came 1,000 years after Adam alayhi salam. Ibn Jarir, interesting facts we're getting today. Ibn Jarir has reported Sayyidina Nuh was born 826 years after the death of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. So more or less the same. All the narrations that speaks more or less about 8 generations. There's no real contradiction. I told you in Arabic, adad is not murad. Many times, kathrat is murad. You mention a number just as an example. You don't intend the physical number. So this is a very, very interesting fact that I've come across for myself for the first time. So between Adam alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam, was more or less between 800 and 1,000 years. And so it's called Adam Athani. So Ibn Jarir reported that Sayyidina Nuh was born 826 years after the death of Sayyidina Adam salam. And according to a clear statement of the Quran, he reached an age of 950 years. 950 years he lived. And according to Hadith, the age of Sayyidina Adam is 960 years, right? That's the time from the birth of Sayyidina Adam salam to the death of Sayyidina Nuh comes to a total of 2,850 years. So if you look at, also Adam was 1,000 years, more or less. So if you add the time of the death of Adam to the death of Nuh because each one was like close to 1,000 years, over 1,000 years, yeah, that's the time from the birth of Sayyidina Adam to the death of Sayyidina Nuh comes to be a total of 2,856 years. In some narrations, the real name of Sayyidina Nuh appears as Shakir. Interesting, right? While some others gives his name to be Sakan and Abdul Ghaffar in others. Whether his time is before or after Sayyidina Idris alayhi salam has been debated. So another famous prophet that resided in this time was Sayyidina Idris alayhi salam. There comes Allah وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. And remember Idris, he was a true prophet right? With regards to Idris alayhi salam, also just another interesting fun fact, if I don't do it with you, there's also ikhtilaf amongst the ulama that according to some ulama, he was also raised bodily to the heavens, like how Isa alayhi salam, this is وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا, we raised him. So some ulama say that refers to a physical raising, like how Isa alayhi salam with his body. Remember our belief, Isa alayhi salam with his body was raised to the heavens. Some ulama say Idris was also, some ulama say no, it doesn't refer to physical, it just means like a lofty position in the dunya. But anyway, so the discussion we're covering here is whether who was first, Idris alayhi salam, whether it's times before or after Sayyidina Idris alayhi salam. In English, Idris alayhi salam is called Enoch, Enoch. Like how you get Yahya, that's now the Hebrew word. In English, they call it John. Like Isa is now, they call it Jesus, like that. Like we say Yaqub is the Arabic, in English they call Jacob. So here they say that his name was Enoch. The majority of the Sahaba have stated that Nuh alayhi salam has appeared before Sayyidina Idris. So most of the Sahaba Ikram of the opinion that as Nuh alayhi salam appeared before Idris alayhi salam. Based on the narration of Sayyidina Abd Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhum of Mustadrak Hakim, he said Nuh was at the age of 40 years. After the flood, he lived for 60 years. So this riwayat says here that he became a prophet at the age of 40. He became a prophet at the age of 40. And then after the flood, he lived another 60 years. So that means, now work it out. If his total age was 950 years, so that means you minus 40 and you minus 60 is 100. So that means 950 minus 100 means, that means he lived 850 years between prophethood and the flood. It means he made dawah for 850 years, right? So the verse of the Quran says, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ. We said Nuh alayhi salam to his people, proves that Sayyidina Nuh was sent as a prophet only to his people. This is also a very, very interesting discussion that we done. We touched upon this here also in our Aqidah. I'm not sure if our brother here, man here, was on the honeymoon. I think he was on the honeymoon that time. That said, what is, in the discussion of a prophet and a Nabi, certain people say a Rasul. Sorry, what's the difference between a Rasul and a Nabi? And we've done several differences. Some ulama say a Rasul is sent to the whole world. And each one give them, some say a Nabi is to his people. But anyway, that's also another discussion that we covered in Aqidah to Tahawiyah. There are several explanations. But anyway, he said, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ. We sent him to his people. So from this, some ulama deduce they say that Nuh alayhi salam was only sent to his people. He wasn't sent. Unlike Rasulullah, was the verse, كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ إِنَّا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا. You have been sent to all the people till Qiyamah, right? So it was not common to the whole world. His people lived in, interesting, Nuh alayhi salam, his people lived in what is modern day Iraq. Modern day, they were outwardly civilized, but they were involved in shirk. So outwardly they seem maybe advanced, etc., good living conditions, but inwardly they were contaminated with shirk. The call given by Sayyidina Nuh to his people was, "O Abudullah." This is what he called him. "O Abudullah, worship Allah Ta'ala. Ma lakum min ilahin ghayruh." There's not for you any God besides Allah Ta'ala. In other words, your obedience, your allegiance is supposed to be Allah Ta'ala, right? Ma lakum min ilahin. Inni akhafu alaykum azaba yawmin azim. Really, I fear for you a great punishment. Okay, Simulana, I stepped in. We'll stop there, inshallah. We will continue tomorrow. Just remember, we stop. Same link, inshallah.